Unlock the hidden symptoms of the Leo new moon, 72 hours to transform your life. I never expected a single dream to change everything. The night was heavy, thick with an energy that twisted my insides. I tossed and turned, restless beneath the sheets, as shadows danced under the faint moonlight spilling through my window. That dream was more than a mere figment, it felt like a warning. In the vibrant hues of the moon's glow, there were voices, whispers of untold secrets just beyond my grasp. I sensed a change, something monumental was rising, and I was caught in its tide. In the days leading up to this Leo new moon, I felt it creeping closer, an electric hum in the air. I walked down the street, and the leaves trembled as if in conversation with the wind. It was as if the world itself was alive, ready for something extraordinary. I could see it in the faces of strangers, a collective unease, a simultaneous thrill at the edges of their smiles. I was seeking the kind of searching that gnaws at your soul and leaves you yearning for answers, for truth. Meditation became my refuge. In the stillness, I heard the heartbeat of the universe. Each breath felt heavy, the weight of my intentions pressing on my chest. It was there, in that silence, I glimpsed flickers of what was to come, a glimpse of possibility wrapped in golden light. Was it hope? Or was it just the allure of the unknown? Yet questions remained, swirling like soft clouds of mystery. A flicker in my peripheral vision, a crow perched on my windowsill, an omen or a messenger, perhaps. Its eyes bore into mine, and time seemed to stop. What was it trying to tell me? My heart raced as I pondered the signs surrounding me. The world felt charged, like a coiled spring, just ready to unleash itself, but the closer we approached the new moon, the more elusive clarity became. I started to wonder, was I preparing for transformation or impending chaos? I didn't know. I could only lean into the mystery, drawn deeper into this dance of light and shadow. As the dusk fell on the eve of the new moon, I stood outside, drawn to the horizon. The air was thick with anticipation. A cold shiver ran down my spine, I felt it, a shift. My breath hitched. What awaited me? Would this moon bring clarity or confusion? I stared up at the darkening sky, the first stars twinkling like promises made yet unfulfilled. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference, let's connect. As the darkness enveloped the sky, I felt myself rooted to the earth beneath my feet. The air shifted, alive with a palpable energy that crackled around me. An unnameable force urged me to step forward, to embrace the unknown. I closed my eyes, allowing the cool breeze to wash over me, and for a moment, I felt as though the boundaries between my world and the universe swayed like the branches of a nearby tree. With each inhale, I summoned courage. When I exhaled, I released fear, letting it dissolve into the ether. In that moment, the crow returned to my thoughts. What message had it brought me? Its dark wings, a silhouette against the delicate twilight, echoed a sense of mystery and depth. As if reminding me that beauty often lies hidden within the shadows. Reflecting on my dream, I began to see connections, a labyrinth of roads leading me back to myself, or so it seemed. Every face I encountered during the day, every word spoken, every quiet moment shared with a friend reinforced a gentle pulse within me. Each felt like a note in a symphony, playing its part in a grander design. There was a wisdom lurking just beneath the surface, a hum of truth waiting for me to decipher it. The night grew deeper, and I ventured to a nearby park. The trees swayed rhythmically, whispering secrets in languages I longed to understand. I settled onto a weathered bench, aiming to navigate my thoughts like a ship through fog. The moon, at that hour, was cloaked by clouds, casting mysterious shades around me, yet bathed in an aura that seemed to promise guidance. It was then I noticed a figure moving through the shadows, an old woman, hunched over yet exuding an unmistakable grace. Intrigued, I watched as she approached, her presence ethereal, yet her step steady. She seemed to be drawing the energy around her, weaving through the darkened space as if it were a tapestry. As our eyes met, there was an unspoken connection, a transcendental understanding. She smiled knowingly, and in that moment, I knew she carried stories etched into her being. "Are you a seeker, child?" she asked, her voice like the rustling leaves. I nodded, feeling the weight of my quest held in that simple gesture. "Every seeker must learn to listen, not just to others, but to what their heart whispers," she continued. "The world is rife with signs, but it is through stillness that the noise fades. The answers you long for are often hidden within your own heartbeat." Her words reverberated through me like echoes of forgotten wisdom. I squeezed my eyes shut, a wave of realization washing over me. Perhaps the path ahead was not just about understanding the signs but about tuning into the rhythm of my own spirit. With a wild rush of gratitude, I felt my heart swell, a connection forged with ancient knowledge. Just as I opened my mouth to thank her, she was gone, swallowed by the night like smoke. The air felt heavier as questions swirled around me. What did it mean to listen to my heart? How could I sift through the noise to discover the truths intertwined with my very essence? As the clouds drifted apart, the moon seeped through, illuminating the darkness with the light of possibility. The questions danced around me. Was the universe speaking through the very fabric of creation? How was I to discern between chaos and transformation? With a quiet resolve, I promised myself to dive deeper into this journey. The night was far from over, and with every unanswered question, I understood that discovery was as essential as understanding. Sometimes, it is the pursuit that births clarity, not the answers themselves. And so, I left the park, my heart echoing the wisdom of the journey ahead. Would I find my truth amid the shadows, or would I continue to wander, seeking the light hidden within? The following days unfurled slowly, each one marked by an unmistakable sensation of being drawn deeper into a labyrinth of inquiry. I carried the old woman's words with me like a gentle mantra, often whispered under my breath whenever the world felt overwhelmingly loud. The promise of clarity through stillness became my compass, guiding me through the chaos that life churned up in its relentless pace. One evening, I ventured to the local library, an unassuming building brimming with an ancient, dusty wisdom that felt almost tangible. It was here, among the stacks of yellowed pages and shadowy corners, that I sensed another sign would present itself. I combed through the labyrinthine aisles, hoping to find an omen within the books. I longed for deeper understanding, a key to unlock the mysteries that seemed to lead to my own heart. My fingers glided over the spines, each one a portal into a separate world. What will speak to me? I pondered, letting the tangible silence envelop me. And then, from the farthest corner of the library, an unexpected commotion caught my attention. A small group gathered around a circular table, their faces aglow with fervor. Drawn closer, I realized they were engaged in a conversation about the nature of intuition and dreams. Listening closely, I found myself captivated. They spoke of dreams as a sacred language, each one a thread weaving through the tapestry of our waking lives. "Trust your instincts," one urged, "for they are the gateways to your truest self." Intrigued, I approached a woman deep in discussion, whose eyes were a radiant pool of wisdom. "Have you ever had a dream that changed your perspective?" she asked me, her voice tinged with an understanding that transcended casual conversation that I shared. My recollection of the crow that had visited me in my sleep, still vivid in my mind like an omen unwrapped. The woman nodded, her expression shifting to one of revelation. "Perhaps the dream is less about the raven itself and more about what it reveals within you," she replied. "In many cultures, crows are messengers, agents between the material and spiritual realms." A spark ignited in my chest, propelling my thoughts into a flurry. I realized this journey was not simply about seeking answers, it was about understanding that each part of this quest was guiding me towards a clearer vision of who I was to become. Dreams were more than fleeting narratives, they were potent sources of wisdom, unearthing shadows and secrets that lay within. As the discussion deepened, I felt a kinship with these seekers. We delved into explorations of synchronicity and the way life's coincidences intertwine into a greater narrative. The conversation flowed, each idea building upon another until, at last, a question arose that suddenly hung in the air. what happens when you find a sign but aren't ready to embrace it? The weight of the question landed heavily upon me, the tension palpable as I pondered the implications. How often had I dismissed signs in my eagerness for concrete answers? What if staying too close to the surface kept me from truly diving into myself? The woman, sensing the shift in the energy of the room, turned to look at me once again. To be open is to dance with uncertainty, she advised gently. Embrace the unknown. Trust that even in darkness, there's much to learn. The gathering began to disperse, but I lingered, allowing the contours of their conversation to settle within me. It was this surreal conversation that held the essence of what I had been seeking, the way the universe speaks, the delicate balance of listening, and trusting that each sign would lead me toward understanding. As I made my way home beneath the tapestry of stars, I felt the pulse of possibility resounding through my very being. Questions filled my mind. How do I prepare to embrace the signs that come my way? Will I have the courage to dive deep into what my intuition reveals? The night sky loomed above me, vast with potential. Each star, a twinkling reminder that I was but a small part of something much greater. Would I be able to harness that light to navigate the labyrinth within? Or was I destined to remain a wanderer in the shadows, seeking answers amidst the unknown? With a heart full of questions and a spirit eager for the journey, I continued onward, ready to unlock the hidden depths of my own soul. The following day was cloaked in a shroud of expectation. My mind whirled with the conversations of the night prior, entangled in dreams and revelations. The notion of embracing uncertainty hung around me like a fragrant incense, lingering softly yet undeniably present. With each passing hour, I felt a beckoning, a quiet insistence nudging me to venture once more into the realm of the unknown. That I decided to return to the library, driven by an urge to confront that space where wisdom and imagination entwined. What if, amidst the stacks of forgotten stories, I might find not just answers, but a deeper connection to the unfolding narrative of my life? As I stepped inside, the familiar calm wrapped around me, a gentle reminder of the journey I had embarked upon. Today, I sought out the poetry section, drawn by an inner rhythm that urged exploration beyond the rational. The words in poetry often danced, whispering secrets wrapped in metaphor, melody of emotions that resonated with the transformative nature of my quest. I combed through the shelves, fingers brushing the spines, uncovering works that had inspired long ago, yet now felt imbued with the promise of new insights. Beneath the soft glow of a modest reading lamp, I settled into an armchair, the pages of an anthology resting on my lap. I immersed myself in the verses, each line washing over me like a fleeting tide, stirring memories and emotions buried beneath the surface. Suddenly, a particular poem struck me, pulsating with energy. The words spoke of surrender and rebirth, the cyclical nature of existence. They echoed the very principles of the conversations I had been part of, the intertwined dance of loss and emergence. Lost in thought, I barely noticed when the soft rustling of pages drew my eyes to a young man seated across from me. He seemed absorbed in his own collection of books, his brow furrowed deep in contemplation. There was something in his demeanor, a quality that resonated with the seekers I had encountered the night before. Driven by curiosity, I engaged him in conversation, asking about the titles that held his attention. As we spoke, the connection deepened. He shared his recent journey of self-discovery, the way he had stumbled upon spirituality amidst the chaos of life. In his narrative, I began to hear the echoes of my own experiences, the dark corners illuminated by the flickering candle of realization. He mentioned an upcoming gathering, a circle where stories were exchanged, where hearts were laid bare, and wisdom woven together. It's called a new moon ceremony, he described, eyes aglow with passion. A time to set intentions, to release what no longer serves you. A magnetic pull sparked within me, a desire not only to hear more but to immerse myself in this collective experience. Can anyone join? I asked, my voice tinged with enthusiasm. Absolutely. It's about community, trust, and embracing vulnerability. The moon holds power for transformation, it's a chance for personal renewal. The invitation resonated deeply. As I listened to his words, I imagined the gathering, the shared energy, the sacred space where intuition could weave its magic. This was precisely the kind of space I sought, a convergence of seekers embracing the mysteries ahead. The thought echoed in me, what might I learn from an experience centered around the unseen forces that shaped our lives? As our conversation blossomed further, I found a rhythm to our thoughts, punctuated by an exchange of ideas about dreams, signs, and the overwhelming beauty of synchronicity. Yet amidst the pearls of wisdom and connection, there lingered another question, a thread that refused to be ignored. Was I truly prepared to unveil the layers of my soul in such an open setting? What fears or hesitations had stunted my growth? The young man caught my momentary shift, a knowing smile stretching across his face. "It's a leap, isn't it?" he said, as if he could glimpse the swirling complexities within me. "But perhaps, within that leap lies the key to unlocking more of yourself." That I returned home once more under the blanket of stars, the moon near its luminous peak, and the impending ceremony hung heavily in the air like the prelude to a symphony. The poetic verses still breathed through me, intertwining with every thought of the young man and the potential new connections on the horizon. As I gazed up at the moon, a question crystallized within me: if dreams and signs are but whispers from the universe, what might happen if I allowed myself to truly listen? Would I embrace the hidden symptoms of this transformative time, or would I turn away, afraid of what might rise to the surface? With my spirit ablaze with curiosity, I felt the magnetic pull towards that gathering, a chance to unlock the depths of my own being, to dance with uncertainty, and to step boldly into the embrace of transformation. What awaited me there, beneath the watchful gaze of the new moon, remained a mystery only time could unfold. The days leading up to the new moon ceremony unfolded with the kind of anticipation that swells in the chest and brings a subtle shimmer to the mind. Each sunset bathed the sky in shades of orange and purple, mingling with my growing excitement and trepidation. The poetry I had read danced in my thoughts like fireflies at dusk, illuminating shadows that had long gone unnoticed. As I prepared for the gathering, I found myself reflecting on the concept of intention. What did I truly want from this ceremony? The question tumbled in my mind as I organized my belongings for the evening. The small items meant to represent my intentions: a leaf for growth, a cloth for surrender, a stone for grounding. Each item held the weight of significance, yet I wondered if I dared to release the darker burdens I had carried for too long. On the morning of the ceremony, I awoke to a dream resonating through my consciousness. I was standing on a precipice, a vast landscape stretching before me filled with vibrant colors and shifting forms. Each hue seemed to radiate a memory, a longing, and an echo of who I used to be. At the center of this beautiful chaos stood a figure cloaked in shadows, the outline fuzzy yet familiar, beckoning me closer. Just as I reached out, I was jolted awake, breathless and disoriented. Was this figure a part of my past, or a representation of something I had yet to confront? This vision lingered with me as I ventured toward the gathering later that evening. I decided to carry with me a small journal, a vessel for thoughts, reflections, and questions inspired by both my dream and the encounters that had led me here. Upon arriving at the designated location, I was enveloped in a warm ambient, soft light flickering through branches, cast by a circle of candles. An assortment of individuals had gathered, each radiating the unique stories that wove them into this moment. The air thrummed with an electric energy, every soul present seemingly alive with possibility. As the circle formed, we settled into our places, and the young man who had sparked my journey stood at the center, guiding us with a gentle presence. With each introduction, I felt the magnificence of connection, a tapestry being woven by intent and honesty. I shared my name and a few words of encouragement for the group, the act of vulnerability feeling both like a weight lifted and a challenge to embrace. When the time came to set our intentions, I felt the pull of my dream, the figure both enticing and intimidating. I closed my eyes and began to speak all the things I had held tightly: fears of being unworthy, concerns about my place in the world. As I released my words into the sacred space that surrounded us, clarity washed over me. The act of voicing these burdens felt like both a surrender and an invitation to growth. The evening unfurled in layers of insight, each participant's intentions bared on hearts much like my own, the profound revelations echoing in rhythms that seemed to resonate with celestial harmony. I listened intently, feeling both as an individual and part of a greater whole. In one poignant moment, an elder in the circle spoke of dreams as guardians, creatures that guide us toward the hidden realms of our psyche. They reveal more than we realize, they show us our desires and fears, the elements of ourselves that yearn for attention," she explained. Was my dream, then, an indicator of a path yet untraveled? Or was it merely a warning to confront what lingered in shadows? As thoughts ricocheted within me, the pivotal moment arrived. As we each were invited to release our intentions into the flames of a small fire, I felt a pang of hesitation, a longing for closure that hadn't yet emerged. What if my intentions did not bear fruit? What if the surrender brought forth struggles rather than peace? But in this collective vulnerability, surrounded by supportive kindred spirits, I tossed my symbolic items into the fire, each one alight with the weight of fears now unbound. As the flames danced, illuminating our faces, I caught a glance at my own reflection in the glowing ember, a flicker of belief crossing through my heart. The conclusion of the ceremony left me basking in a soft glow, a sensation that lingered into the quiet of the night. When I returned home, I stood under the vast expanse of the starry sky, the moon now rising full and bright. I felt remarkably alive, infused with a potent mix of excitement and uncertainty, my heart thrumming to the rhythm of potential. Was the figure from my dream the one I needed to confront the hidden part of myself yearning for life to be fully lived? Was embracing this part the key to unlocking yet another layer of my existence? With each question unfurling like fragile blossoms into the cool night air, I cast my gaze toward the luminous orb above. What awaited me on this journey of unraveling and becoming? How would I continue to dance between shadows and light, heart open to the lessons the universe had in store? The answers remained elusive, yet within that uncertainty lay an unquenchable spark of discovery waiting to ignite. The days that followed the ceremony unfurled like the petals of a newly blossomed flower, revealing layers of insight and challenge. The air felt different, charged with an energy that shimmered just beneath the surface of everyday reality. I awoke each morning with a sense of urgency, as if the universe itself was whispering secrets meant only for my ears. My journal became a sanctuary for thoughts cascading from my mind, a place to capture fleeting inspirations and the flickerings of my heart. One afternoon, while wandering through a nearby grove, I stumbled upon an ancient oak tree, its gnarled branches reaching toward the heavens like outstretched arms. I was drawn to its massive trunk, which seemed to pulse with the wisdom of ages. As I placed my hand upon its rough surface, a wave of understanding washed over me. This oak had witnessed countless seasons, silently grounding itself through the storms and sunlight alike. Be like this tree, the thought echoed in my mind. Embrace your roots, weather the storms, and reach for the sky. I settled beneath its canopy, the rustling leaves whispering yet more secrets. In this tranquil haven, I closed my eyes and surrendered to the sounds surrounding me: chirping of birds, the rustle of small creatures in the underbrush, and the wind weaving through the branches. In this moment of stillness, I felt a connection to something far greater than myself, a deep intertwining of existence. Then, as if summoned by my seeking spirit, the figure from my dream flickered into my mind once again, the edges growing clearer this time, as if coaxed out by the oak's energy. Who were you? A voice whispered from within, urging me to explore this part of myself. An invitation thrummed through my core, to delve deeper into the realms I had only brushed against. Days passed, and my surroundings continued to conspire to lead me toward revelation. I began to notice small signs everywhere: a feather on my path, mirroring the direction my mind wandered, a snippet of conversation from a stranger that echoed thoughts I had deemed too hidden, even the way the clouds shifted overhead, forming patterns that felt like messages. Each sign stoked the fire of curiosity in my heart, urging me to listen more closely to the whispers of the world around me. One evening, while gathering with friends for a meal, I listened as one shared a story of transformation. I too had to confront my shadow, she revealed, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. It was painful, raw. But on the other side, I found strength. Embracing my fears taught me about resilience. Her words reverberated in my chest, igniting the embers of courage that had begun to smolder within. Could it be that the shadow I feared was indeed the gateway to my growth? That night, as I returned home with her story swirling in my mind, I lit a candle in my room and set it on my bedside table, the flickering flame illuminating the pages of my journal. I wrote fervently, pouring out my thoughts regarding fear, growth, and the shadow I had long ignored. With each word I scribbled down, it felt as though I was unearthing fragments of myself I had kept buried out of sight. Then, as the candlelight flickered, a new vision came to me. Perhaps the figure shrouded in shadows was not an adversary but a guide, a part of me yearning for acknowledgement and understanding. What if embracing this part of myself held the key to unlocking the truths I so desperately sought? Under the watchful gaze of the moon, which hung round and bright in the night sky, I felt an unusual wave of calm. I was beginning to understand that surrendering was not the same as giving up. Instead, it was an opening, an invitation to dance with the parts one feared most and learn to love them fiercely. In that dance, with hearts intertwined, I pondered what it means to uncover hidden truths. Are shadows mere representations of unprocessed experiences, or are they vital teachers on the path toward wholeness? If my ultimate quest was to embrace my full self, how would I navigate the complex terrain of acceptance, forgiveness, and growth? With these questions lingering in my heart, I took a deep breath and gazed into the abyss of possibilities surrounding me. I had stepped into this journey with intention, but the avenues of discovery were vast and wild, promising surprises at every turn. My spirit, now ablaze with a yearning for exploration, led me to wonder, what lies ahead as I continue to connect with the shadows and light within? And how might each encounter shape the essence of who I am becoming through this unfolding journey? The following days carried a weight of expectation, as if a tide was drawing back from the shore, preparing to unleash its fullness. Each dawn greeted me with the promise of exploration, and I knew that the fleeting whispers of the universe were intensifying. It was in this charged atmosphere that I stumbled upon the moonlight gathering stories that needed to be heard. During a walk at dusk, drawn by an unspoken force, I found myself again at the grove with the ancient oak. This time, a strange glow illuminated the clearing. The moon hung large and expectant in the sky, her silver light weaving through the branches like fingers exploring a treasure chest. Settling beneath the oak's shelter, I allowed myself to soak in the quiet magic around me. It was the kind of night that felt like the earth held its breath, waiting for a revelation. As I closed my eyes, the performance of the night entered my senses. The wind whispered secrets, and the rustling leaves sang a gentle lullaby, inviting me deeper into reflection. With a heart swollen with curiosity, I asked the universe what it wished to unveil to me. My inquiry reverberated through the night, sending ripples across the surface of my mind. Suddenly, the figure from my dreams unfurled before me, not just a silhouette but a tapestry woven with colors and shapes. An echo of familiarity washed over me. It was as if my inner light was finally able to penetrate the aura of shadows that had surrounded this guide. "Who are you?" I whispered into the cool night. "Are you ready to see?" The figure responded, its voice a melodic chime resonating with the essence of the world. As it spoke, visions cascaded before me, past experiences and hidden fears slipped into focus. Moments of hesitation and doubt danced before my eyes, revealing my tight grip on the narrative of who I thought I was. In that heartbeat of uncertainty, the air shimmered again, and I felt an urgency to face this guide's call. With every vision merging into the next, I understood that the shadows held lessons, unexamined wounds, unexpressed creativity, and a longing for connection. It dawned on me that the dark corners of my existence were not merely obstacles but opportunities cloaked in veils. The figure stepped closer, revealing a mask that shimmered like the moonlight itself. "To unlock your truths, you must dare to confront the symptoms of your inner storms," it said, each word a pebble thrown into the calm surface of my soul. "What fears bind you? What regrets have you carried like an anchor?" I sat in silence, the questions stirring deep within, and then a gentle confrontation arose. What had I held back in my heart? Images of conversations I had avoided, paths unexplored, and shadows I had allowed to dictate my story rose within me. Unease quivered in my core, but the moon's light cast a glow of possibility over me. Could I truly begin to break the chains of those unspoken fears? In that moment of clarity, I felt a pulse of courage gallop through my veins. The reckoning promised a path brightened by the light of understanding. It wasn't about banishing the shadows as adversaries but acknowledging them as part of my journey. I breathed deeply, embracing the weight of courage that had found its way to the surface. With the weight of the night cradling my resolve, I emerged from beneath the tree and returned home, my thoughts racing like a wild current. My journal awaited me, a sanctuary still and calm, ready to bear witness to a new era of introspection. Lighting another candle, I let its warmth melt into the fading day, and I began to write with fervor. What if each shadow carried not only pain but also potential? If my fears were wrapped in veils of belief, could I slowly peel those layers away to discover a deeper truth? In this transitional dance, how might I transform old narratives into new stories of strength and resilience? As my pen flowed across the pages, the questions multiplied like stars beginning to twinkle in the night sky. Each query was a constellation, a bridge to a new understanding that beckoned me to explore the uncharted territory of my own essence. As the candle flickered, I allowed myself to imagine the potential of my journey. If I could learn to embrace both the shadows and the light, what truths might emerge from this sacred union? With these musings echoing in the stillness, I felt a stirring within, a beckoning to continue the dance of discovery with open arms. What new paths will unfold as I step into the heart of my shadows? And as I confront these hidden symptoms beneath the glow of the Leo new moon, what transformation awaits me on the horizon? The dawn arrived draped in a golden veil, and the whispers of the universe felt like a gentle hand brushing against my cheek. The night had offered both a conversation and a promise, revealing that the journey ahead was laden with revelations waiting to unfold. The questions I had inscribed in my journal glowed in my thoughts, a compass guiding me toward an awakening. With each step outside, I felt a shift in the air, as if the world around me pulsed with magnetism. The sun cast long shadows on the earth, echoing the very concept of light dancing playfully with darkness. I wandered toward the local park, a space that had once held dreams woven from carefree childhood moments. With the energy of the Leo new moon still resonating within me, it felt right to seek clarity amidst the familiar expanse of nature. As I meandered past familiar landmarks, a voice called my name, a melodic sound that beckoned like a siren's song. I turned to find an elderly gentleman sitting on a bench, his eyes gleaming with wisdom. He was draped in a simple garment, the color of daybreak, and emanated warmth inviting enough to draw me nearer without hesitation. Tell me, he began, his voice soft yet resonant, what burdens fasten your spirit? His gaze pierced through the fabric of my unease, reaching into the crevices of my soul. Something within me stirred, as if a door was nudging open. That I hesitated, caught between the urge to reveal the depths of my reflections and the fear of diving too deep. In that moment, the emotional tide ebbed and flowed within me, mirroring the lingering shadows I had just begun to confront. I've been wrestling with hidden fears, past regrets, and unspoken desires, I finally shared, each word a tentative step into vulnerability. That he nodded knowingly, his smile serene. Ah, the treasures buried beneath the surface often bind the spirit most tightly. But remember, there is a light even in the deepest dark. Sometimes, one must traverse the edges of their fears to discover the brilliance of their own truth. His words steeped into my consciousness, awakening a sense of familiarity. I felt connected to him, as if our spirits shared threads woven across lifetimes. But how does one embark on such a journey? I asked, a whisper beckoning for guidance. Listen to the whispers, young seeker, he said, gesturing grandly toward the horizon where the sun placed delicate hands on the distant trees. Every leaf, every rustling blade of grass has a story to impart. Come, let us begin. We walked together, the path blooming with the promise of exploration. As we ambled through pockets of sunlight, he encouraged me to gather my memories, the joys and pains woven together. An unexpected plane of energy surrounded us, shimmering in synchronization with our discourse. Conversations became an alchemy, each shared thought a transformation, illuminating the very shadows I had yet to embrace fully. Look! He exclaimed, his enthusiasm igniting my curiosity. Before us, a hawk soared effortlessly across the sky, a master of the air navigating the currents with grace and confidence. Witness the freedom of the hawk. It reminds us that the journey often requires rising above our storms, bathing our fears in the light of perspective. The analogy resonated deep within, stirring visions of my own flight off, attempting to rise while hesitant about the turbulence beneath my wings. In that moment, I understood, embracing my fears meant allowing myself to soar from the trembling ground of insecurity into the open sky of possibility. Each hour brings a choice, the gentleman said, his tone serious yet filled with tenderness. Will you remain shackled by the fears of your past, Or will you unfurl your wings and catch the wind toward new horizons? As the weight of his question settled upon me, the world seemed to hold its breath again. I glanced at the sun now climbing higher, radiating bravely despite the night's shadows that had just been shed. I sighed, feeling the burdens of contemplation transform into aspirations of flight. Tell me more, I urged, hungry for wisdom. What is the first step? Toward transformation, he offered a knowing smile. The first step is often the hardest, the step into vulnerability. But remember, my dear, in vulnerability lies the seed of transformation. Speak your truths, share your stories, and you will find your power ignited. It is then that the universe aligns to unfurl your path. Relinquishing a breath I hadn't realized I was holding, I felt the pull of inspiration urging me to act. As we parted ways, my journal emerged as a beacon once more. I envisioned the pages before me as I walked home, each blank space eager to cradle fresh musings and validated truths. Gently embracing the winds of change, I realized that I stood on the precipice of new beginnings. I hadn't yet unearthed the entirety of the mystery that lingered just beyond the horizon, but I sensed a magnificent momentum building. What transformations might emerge from the act of vulnerability? If I speak my truths and share my shadows with the world, what revelations will take flight? And as I prepare to confront the hidden symptoms of my soul, what brilliance awaits to be discovered beneath their whispers? The following days felt like suspended moments, each hour blending into the next as I teetered between realms of anticipation and uncertainty. The elderly gentleman's words echoed in my mind, igniting a flame of intent that made the mundane extraordinary. I began recording my thoughts with fervor, allowing my fears, desires, and recollections to spill onto the pages like watercolor strokes on a canvas. The act of vulnerability unveiled a part of me I'd kept hidden, nudging me closer to the heart of the mystery I sought to unravel. It was on the third day since our meeting that I ventured to a local bookstore, seeking to replenish my spirit with stories that mirrored my own quest. The air inside was musky, a delightful refuge from the outside clamor. A sense of reverence enveloped me as I ran my fingers along the spines of books, each a world of imagination and insight waiting to be unveiled. An intoxicating blend of ink and paper filled the air, creating an atmosphere ripe for introspection. While browsing, a particular book caught my eye, its cover adorned with a striking image of a phoenix. Intrigued, I pulled it from the shelf and flipped through its pages. The words inside echoed themes of rebirth, renewal, and the courage to rise from the ashes of one's past. I bought the book without a second thought, its wisdom now intertwined with my journey. That evening, as twilight kissed the sky and stars began to awaken, I nestled into my reading nook, the book resting on my lap. The stories of others who had faced their darkest moments resonated deeply, illuminating the contours of my own unresolved shadows. It was as if the universe conspired to remind me that I was not alone in my struggles. Each tale whispered encouragement, and my heart began to swell with the hope of transformation. However, the inherent unease still lingered. What awaited me once I leaned fully into my truths, when the secrets of my soul demanded attention? I turned the last page of the book, and a small feather slipped out, a soft, iridescent reminder of the hawk and its effortless flight. The sight of the feather ignited a flood of memories. I recalled a childhood experience when my sister and I had discovered a wounded bird, and in our gentle attempt to save it, we learned the importance of letting nature take its course. The universe was whispering once more, and the lesson felt pertinent. Could it be that, in nurturing my own wounds, I needed to balance action with acceptance? I grabbed my journal, filled with thoughts from both the book and my reflections. A new uncertainty nestled into my heart. Would unraveling my shadows liberate me, or would it expose me to the world in ways I had yet to prepare for? Tentatively, I penned that question, letting it linger on the page. If I share my truth, how will it reshape my identity? To seek answers, I knew I had to venture beyond the pages into the vast unknown. As days passed, I began to notice small synchronicities that felt like invisible nudges guiding me. A woman on the street spoke of her own struggles with vulnerability, her words resonating like a bell ringing clear and true. A friend reached out, sharing her recent breakthrough after confronting her fears. It occurred to me then that the universe was a vigilant teacher, offering connections and reflections. Each encounter seemed to embellish the tapestry of understanding that enveloped me. Yet, the core of my mystery still remained cloaked, eluding my grasp. What lay at the other end of this journey, with each moment of honesty I ventured into, I began to see the shadows transform, taking on new shapes that begged to be explored further. Each challenge felt like a stepping stone towards unveiling a deeper truth, yet layers of my spirit continued to conceal themselves. There was a burgeoning realization growing within me, fueling a myriad of questions. What if the fear of exposure was simply a reflection of my own doubts? What if vulnerability wasn't a weakness but a profound strength wrapped in authenticity? As the new moon drew closer, the air thick with anticipation, I couldn't help but wonder what awaited me at the threshold of this transformation. Would stepping into my power draw forth clarity, or would it unveil more questions waiting to be addressed? The understanding I craved lingered like the moon's glow, comfortingly out of reach but magnetic nonetheless. That I in the quiet of the night, I breathed deeply, surrendering to the mystery ahead. What treasures would emerge from this dance with my shadows, and how would my life reshape itself in the light of my revelations? It became clear that the essence of this journey was not solely about answers, but rather the unfolding of a deeper connection with both the universe and myself. As the dawn of the Leo new moon approached, I felt as though the universe was holding its breath, waiting for my own rebirth. I had traveled far from where I began, navigating through the labyrinth of my fears, my shadows now tethered more as friends than foes. Everything I had unearthed felt like a delicate tapestry, each thread infused with lessons whispered from the cosmos. My heart swelled as I prepared for this new cycle, each breath a reminder that I was on the cusp of transformation. The night of the new moon arrived, draping the world in darkness yet pregnant with possibility. I stood outside, feeling the smooth coolness of the earth beneath my feet, connecting deeply with the energy pulsating around me. I surrounded myself with candles, small symbols of light illuminating my path, reminding me that even in the darkest moments, there is always a flicker of hope. As I sat cross-legged beneath the canopy of stars, my mind began to drift, surrendering to the present moment. I spoke my intentions out loud, confessing pieces of my spirit I had once hidden away, my desires for growth, my yearnings for authentic connections, my hopes for liberation from the weight of past regrets. Each word leaped from my lips, floating into the universe like fireflies gleaming against the ebony sky, and then, in that hushed space where intention met vulnerability, I felt a profound presence envelop me. It was as if the universe slipped into my core, merging with my essence, creating an eternal moment where time dissolved. I closed my eyes and surrendered to the moment, allowing visions to dance behind my eyelids. The figure from my dreams emerged again, now more defined, radiant in its embodiment of my deepest longings and fears. "Welcome," it whispered, a gentle breeze weaving through my thoughts. "You are ready to embrace me, are you not?" I opened my heart, every facet of my spirit aligning with the unfolding journey. "I am," I breathed. "I acknowledge you as a part of me, not an adversary but a teacher, a guide." Suddenly, I was swept into a maelstrom of flickering memories, moments where I had shied away from my own truths, the myriad ways I had withheld love, sight unseen, from myself. Yet woven within these reflections, I also saw my triumphs, glimmers of resilience ignited when I faced my fears head-on. I was no longer a wanderer in shadows, I was a seeker adorned in strength, evolving with every step. The figure smiled, a luminous aura radiating warmth. "That which you once feared can now guide you to the heart of your transformation. Trust, dear one, trust in the unfolding of your story. Each tear you shed waters the seeds of emergence." As the moon hung heavy above, casting its silvery glow across the darkness, I felt a wave of understanding surge within me. It was not about silencing my fears, but rather integrating them, learning to dance with the very parts of me I had deemed unworthy. The shadows were not to be banished, they were lessons, each one a stepping stone to deeper truths, crafted with purpose. With newfound clarity, I began to shed the self-imposed shackles of my past. I envisioned all the burdens, the superficial masks I had worn, drifting away into the cool night air, dissipating like mist before the dawn. I understood that true transformation lived in the embrace of authenticity, a sanctuary where vulnerability would blossom into unprecedented power. As the ceremony reached its pinnacle, I joined my voice with those of the stars, feeling the collective energy of all seekers yearning for their own revelations. With each heartbeat, I surrendered to the experience, relinquishing my grips on certainty and allowing the unknown to cradle me gently. "Give me strength," I whispered into the universe. Let me become the embodiment of my fullest truth. With that commitment echoed within me, I felt a crackling surge of energy race through my veins. It danced upwards, igniting a spark within my heart like wildfire, illuminating even the darkest corners of my spirit. I understood vividly now, transformation was not the erasure of past struggles, it was the alchemical process of weaving them into the very fabric of who I was becoming. As the new moon reached its zenith, I opened my eyes, gazing up at the blanket of twinkling stars. I turned my gaze inward, recognizing the shadows no longer as hidden allies but as integral aspects of my soul's journey. My heart felt buoyant, and a peace washed over me like a gentle wave. I rose from the ground, arms stretched towards the heavens, filled with gratitude. I am whole, I proclaimed. I honor the light and the dark, the seen and the unseen. I am both shadow and light, a tapestry of existence unfolding. In this moment of desperation transformed to acceptance, I realized the profound truth: I was both the seeker and the sought. The universe had conspired through dreams and whispers, guiding me toward the discovery of my own essence, and as the moon began its descent into the horizon, illuminating the world anew, I stood watching, knowing that I was now ready to embrace whatever awaited me beyond the veil of shadows. It is in embracing both the light and the dark that we become the full spectrum of our truth, and through that integration, we may find our way home to ourselves.